management there because
You're listening to Head South Radio with your host, Cat Meyer, a podcast dedicated to prioritizing pleasure and removing the stigma and shame around sex. We're here to be curious and have an open conversation about sexual health and relational wellness. This podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. The information discussed is not a substitute for professional medical advice.
Hi there, I'm your host, Cat Meyer, and today's episode is a little different from our usual interview style. We listener sourced some anonymous holiday questions, and I'm going to answer a few of them on this episode. Before we get started, the advice provided here is for entertainment purposes only, and is based on general opinions. It is not a substitute for professional counseling, therapy, or medical advice. Each individual and situation is unique, and the guidance offered may not be suitable for everyone. Always consult with an appropriate professional for personalized advice tailored to your specific circumstances. So today I am currently in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's December 8th, and I am driving across the country from New York to Los Angeles. And so I am recording this special episode to answer our listeners' questions about the holidays. And I'm no expert on holidays, but I have been in a lot of long-term relationships. I've dated people just before the holidays, or cuffing season, I believe they call it. I also come from a big family with a lot of Christmas traditions. And so we thought it would be fun and entertaining to answer some of our listeners' questions about the holiday season. Okay, so it's a little awkward for me because I'm essentially reading your questions and then answering them. So I feel like I'm interviewing myself. So bear with me because it feels, a bit silly and a bit awkward, but I'm sure I'll settle into it. So the first question I'm going to go with is, what's your definition of a romantic gift for a partner? This question brings to mind, I've always had a visual of a romantic gesture, and it comes from the film The Godfather 2. Not to spoil, no spoiler alerts if you've never seen The Godfather or Godfather 2, but there is a scene where the Godfather, Robert De Niro, is playing the young Godfather, and he is in New York and goes out and commits crimes. And I'm pretty sure he kills somebody or robs somebody or something happens. And I apologize. I do watch this film every year around Thanksgiving, if not on Thanksgiving, but I didn't watch it this year. And so I don't have it fresh in my mind to describe the entire scene. But the romantic gesture is that he comes home and has a pear. So he gets a pear and brings it to his wife, and she's just so elated about a pear. And to me, that's when I saw that in my teens and every year that I've watched that film, I always think wow, that's so romantic. It's just such a sweet gesture. And her joy of the pear, and then I think she goes and cuts it up for them to enjoy together, I think is so romantic. So that's just to give you a little context of what I view as a romantic gift or gesture for a partner. I think when it comes to romantic gifts, I think it's something in all of my gift giving and gift receiving as well is I love a gift that someone finds, either myself or a partner, in the past. And then you're like, oh my God, you were listening, or you paid attention, or you noticed I needed that. A very thoughtful, but something that came from months ago. And so this person, made note of that, or I do that. I actually have notes. And this isn't just with partners. I do it with friends and family. I will see that maybe they need something, or they would maybe enjoy this gift, and I make note of it. And then when it comes time for holidays, birthdays, gift giving, or just anytime gifts, because I really do appreciate an anytime gift over any other holiday, birthday, I really love a thoughtful, hey, this made me think of you, or I saw this and it reminded me of you. So to me, those are romantic gifts for partners, is something that makes the person feel seen and heard and validated. And it doesn't matter, I was mentioning something that came from the past, or a few months ago. I do love that. When I'm wow, we talked about that months ago, and you remembered and got me that thing, or you realized that and recognized that I needed that. I think those are really special. Those are the gifts that I cherish, or a gift that holds a story to a person. or that hold a memory as a couple together. I always find those to be very romantic gifts. Okay, next question. When you're coupled, how do you decide whose family to spend the holidays with? Okay. This one's a little tricky, and I think I think it's an individual or couple decision, but I think you can lay out a few factors and then kind of create a plan around that. So depending on how long you've been together, depending on the proximity, travel. I was recently speaking to a friend who, her family is based pretty much in Canada and her partner's family is based in Florida. And so, I think sometimes you might want a nice sunny Florida holiday season versus a cold, wintry, Canadian holiday season, or the reverse. Maybe you want something more of what the picturesque Christmas snowy white holiday if you're celebrating Christmas. So I think when it comes to deciding whose family to spend the holidays with and what holidays they are, I would look at and consider distance and cost of travel, also what you're both drawn to. And sometimes, some years it might be splitting apart. And I know, I have had many a holiday where I had partners who also had very strong family ties like myself. And so we would often split, and those are very lonely. It can feel very lonely even though you're surrounded by your family, but when your partner's not there, and that's something you might want to consider, maybe sometimes you do go your separate ways to visit with family, but with the understanding that it can feel a little empty. It's not so sparkly and bright without that person with you. So yeah, I think it's just laying out with your partner and understanding, and then coming to terms with it and saying, okay, this year maybe it's we go here, or next year we go with your family, or I am currently, as I mentioned, traveling across the country. So this will be the first time I do not spend the holidays with my family. And that's a very new thing. And it's also recognizing that. So if you are very close with your family, if your family has very strong traditions, and you decide with your partner to, go forth and do something separate of either of your families, that's another option you have, rather than deciding between the two, just branching off and doing something on your own. Or maybe it's you live in New York or you live somewhere else and both of your families are a distance away. You just do your own thing. That is an option. But for me, I am currently experiencing that. Last night, my partner and I were driving for dinner, and I just started crying because I felt homesick, and it's been about 9 days away from home. And this year, like I mentioned, is the first year I won't be with my family, or some of my family, because we have traveled and only some of us had gone away for the Christmas holidays. But this is the first time I will be completely separate of my entire family. And it's, definitely something I'm processing and working through. What are some creative date ideas for the winter months? I love this question because I love going on dates. I still date my partner, even though he doesn't believe in dating, or apparently Australians don't date. He's going to hate that I said that, but we recently had a debate about that. But I just believe in actively pursuing and enjoying the company of your partner, regardless of how long you've been together. And I love doing activities. And so I love this question so much. And I'm going to say a few dates that we've had, as well as some that we haven't had yet. Maybe we'll have those dates. I grew up in the Northeast, where there's a lot of winter and a lot of winter activities. So I think one of the best winter activities to do on a date, whether you're newly dating, long-time dating, is ice skating. I love outdoor rinks. I love going ice skating, especially around Christmas, and ice skating to Christmas music. I love ice skating on bodies of water like lakes and ponds. I grew up ice skating, so I really, really love doing that. And I love doing that with a partner. It gives me high school dating vibes. And so it's just something I really, really enjoy. So that's probably my number one favorite activity to do in the winter months with a partner. Another fun activity is, and this has been really nice driving across the country, is seeing holiday lights at night. And so just driving through neighborhoods, and it's been very cool to see all the different states and cities and places and how they decorate for the holidays. And it's really magical and really beautiful. Even like we were in Texas 2 nights ago and being in the desert, and it's still very holiday themed and cool. But like there was a Christmas tree with boots on it. And I love that. I love the unique decoration styles of the different cities that we've been traveling through. And so going on a holiday lights tour with your partner, driving around, or a lot of places, especially in the suburbs or like in my hometown, there's a lot of these like light shows that you can go to a golf course and you just drive around and there's very cool attractions. We tend to do that. My family, my sister and siblings and their children all together, and then go get hot chocolate, or we'll go get Krispy Kreme donuts. And that's a really nice tradition to do as a family and activity, but it's also that's a nice thing to do and bring a partner. So if you're bringing your partner home, it's nice to kind of do something like that as a family. You're all in the car together and moving forward and not sitting awkwardly around a table trying to have conversation. It's just nice to kind of view and enjoy the lights. Another thing I love to do is go to a winter market or a farmer's market around the holiday time, or especially like in the past few years in New York, there's always the holiday market. So you can, double down and go ice skating and go to the holiday market. A lot of places have, like, you're literally in the holiday market while you're ice skating. So I love doing that with partners or while I'm dating people. Another fun activity outdoors is skiing or snowboarding. I did both a little bit growing up. I did a little more skiing. I liked skiing more, but that was always fun to go on dates with people and go skiing and have hot chocolate. And I would recommend, if you've never done it, to definitely take a lesson prior to going out on the slopes with your partner. But it's such a fun thing to do. It's really fun to do, like an overnight trip together and go to a ski resort and stay and have a really nice weekend. So depending on where you are with your dating partnership, that's kind of a really fun winter activity. And then we just did this last night and I absolutely love it. I actually once went on a first date and did this, but going to either a spa or a bathhouse. And so yeah, I once had a first date we went to a bathhouse and I was like, whoa, this is cool. Definitely a good way to get to know somebody. But yeah, last night my partner and I went to a spa out here in Santa Fe, and we just hung out in hot tubs and walked around, and it was so nice, especially since we'd been driving for 8 days, to take a break, go to the spa. So I think that is such a lovely winter themed activity. What's really great is a lot of places offer couples discounts, and it's sometimes nice to do. You can do a day trip. Like, there's really great spas in the city, bathhouses in the city. I really enjoyed. There is a spa on Governor's Island, just south of Manhattan. You take a ferry from the financial district. And what I love about that spa is that they have the heated pools, little individual jacuzzis within the heated pool. So you and your partner can chill there. Last year we had done this just before Thanksgiving, like between Halloween and Thanksgiving. And we sat and watched the sunset in a heated pool jacuzzi. And then we made our way through the different rooms, the different saunas. And that was really a lovely date and a lovely fall winter activity. But I highly recommend, I do love a bathhouse spa. And I also love that, yeah, you can do that on a first date, or you can do that, you've been married for a long time and trying to spice things up in the winter. A spa date is really nice. And it's really nice because then sometimes you and your partner can rinse each other off and be a little more intimate and massage one another and make out in the pool. Don't recommend having sex in any of these public places. I've never done that, but I don't think that's appropriate. Do not recommend that. So this next anonymous question is, I've fallen into the trap of getting back unofficially with my ex of 4 years during the last few months. Has been more of a convenience thing and other things. Down a road we both aren't fighting. But I feel as if after the new year, I may no longer have interest. What's the best recourse? So, without having a lot of context or information about this one's very much a personal and not so general, what's a good romantic gift for a partner. And so lacking a lot of the detail and not being able to have a conversation with you around this, there's one word that stuck with me in your question, which was you've fallen into the trap. It's not a word, a phrase, rather. So you've fallen into a trap of getting back with your ex. And I believe both Esther Perel and Bell Hooks have written about this, or I've read about this from both of them. And it's something I've used over the course of the past few years of not describing the action of love as falling in love. And you here have used the word fallen into a trap. It doesn't sound, the tone of this question doesn't sound very good. But again, I don't have the details. There's a lot of stuff between the lines, and I don't want to read between the lines and make assumptions about this relationship or why you've gotten back together, aside from what you've disclosed, which was out of convenience. But to what I was saying about Esther Perel and Bell Hooks, in my own experience with the term of falling, whether it's fallen into a trap or falling in love, is that when we use the language of falling, and our language and how we speak is very powerful and very important to how our lives are projected and how we live our lives. And so to use that phrase, and I'm going to use falling in love because that's the one that I've worked through myself personally, and both of those women have spoken about and written about, is that it then relinquishes our power. Like we disempower ourselves when we say fallen. So thinking about when we move through the world and we fall, it's a loss of control, and you fall to the ground and you get hurt. And so to think of falling into a trap is even more pain. Like an animal like you're not a helpless animal in the woods and a hunter is hunting you. Love is not hunting you. This ex-partner hopefully is not hunting you. So you are not a helpless animal being falling into a trap. You are an empowered person who is able to make decisions. And so I think my recommendation is to read your question, look at your question yourself, and kind of think through, what is it you're actually asking? What's the best recourse? Because you feel like you're no longer going to have interest after the new year. So instead of recommending what that recourse would be, I would love for you to take an opportunity to ask, why are you looking to have this relationship during this time of year, during the holidays? Why have you reconnected with this person, both of you, out of convenience? And maybe look at what it is you actually want and start from there. Start from a place of, why do you feel like you've fallen into this? Why do you feel like you don't have control here? Or if you do have control, like you're making the decision to get back together with this person. So just looking at why are you getting back together? And why do you feel the need that you would lose interest after, and allow that to guide you? Again, it's just very difficult to answer because I don't have a lot of the specifics, but in my own experience, paying attention and actually questioning my own questioning has been so helpful for myself to find guidance, to sit with myself and really dive into the way that I have phrased things or phrase things currently. And, just questioning why. So why are you doing this? Why did you get back together? Why do you feel like it's not going to last? Asking a lot of the whys of yourself can help you maybe figure out what's the best way to move forward if you decide to no longer be together. It's helpful, I think, when we play out these types of situations of getting back together with an ex, and again, not knowing the details of why you broke up or any of that, it's helpful to think through what brought you here, why you're making these decisions. It's just for your own personal growth, a good exercise. And I would very much encourage everyone listening to rethink the idea of falling in love, because it relinquishes your ability to make the choice. And I think we're much more empowered when we choose the people we want to be with, when we choose the person we want to be in the world, and we choose how we interact in those relationships versus falling for somebody. Yeah, like when I say that, you've fallen for someone, it feels like you had no control. You have no power. I'm powerless against being attracted to this person. And I think there's so much more to offer in our relationships when we are empowered and make the choices to be together and we choose who we are and how we show up in that relationship. And that goes for all relationships. That's not just romantic partners. Are gift cards good gifts because of their utility or lame because of their lack of personality? This is such a funny question. I think it all depends. I think it depends on who you're giving it to. I think it's also, like what's one man's trash is another man's treasure idea of like someone may love getting gift cards and appreciate that they get to choose and utilize this gift down the road or use it towards something that they might need, or maybe use it towards something they would never ask for or never get themselves. But like, hey, you got them an Apple gift card, so they bought themselves this cool Apple Watch. Whatever it is, like, I think for some people, a gift card makes an amazing gift and affords them the opportunity to make choices. I did just read this morning, statistically, people are asking for and wanting money as well as gift cards versus personalized gifts. I just think it depends on the relationship. So, whether it's romantic, familial, friendships that you're offering these cards, I don't think it's lame. I think it's also, to speak to the question earlier about romantic gifts, sometimes just a gift you can use is far more special than, something extravagant or romantic. Or I do love that. Like I've had things like people have given me aprons, or, like in this instance, your question is about a gift card, which can feel like it lacks personality or personalization, or it might seem like, lame. You describe it as lame. And I don't think so. I think it's like, I'll use my relationship as an example. My partner loves outdoor activities. And so I think he would appreciate a gift card from REI. I would say that I wouldn't just give him a gift card, and he's not getting that. If he's listening, you're not getting that for Christmas. But that if I was, if that was something, and I especially would think that, like, if it's something where, for example, we like rock climbing and he might need rock climbing shoes, but I don't know what style. I actually don't even know what the size shoe he wears. And so I might get a gift card to like a rock climbing or REI. Actually, maybe it is REI. Maybe I am getting you an REI gift card. But anyways, I think you can wrap that gift card in a story, and when you give it, tell the person the story of why you're giving them this gift card so that it removes any lameness. Let's take a quick break. Hey there. Allow me to introduce you to something that has completely transformed my body, the floss. The floss isn't just a trend, it's a movement method that has reshaped the way I approach my well-being. Imagine a subscription-based platform that offers you a key to unlocking your body's potential. Fascia flossing, as it's called, doesn't just scratch the surface, it remaps the fascia network of your body. Through a tailored blend of physical manipulation, guided resistance movement, and muscle elongation techniques, it's like giving your body a personalized renovation. Since adding the floss to my daily practice in 2019, I've experienced incredible improvements across the board. My mind-body connection is stronger than ever, and let's talk about the intimate aspects. Yes, it has boosted my sexual health connection too. You can hear more about that in the episode I recorded with the founder of the floss, Bonnie Krotzer. The floss supports all of my body systems, enhances mobility, offers prevention, and provides that active recovery we all need. Curious to learn more? Head over to thefloss.com, and if you use the code HEADSOUTH, HEADSOUTH, all caps, no spaces, you'll receive 50% off the first month. Let's get back to the podcast. So I have a few more questions, and I'm bringing on my partner to ask him the questions.
Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is John, and I'm Cat's partner, amongst other things. Yes.
Good job. What a great introduction. You've been mentioned a few times in this episode, actually.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So maybe people know all about me already.
No, they know nothing about you.
Okay. Well,
other than you like things from REI.
Okay.
It's a pretty accurate description.
Yeah.
That's all they need to know.
Okay. I do like to shop at REI.
Mm-hmm.
You get free money when you shop at REI. So
we're just going to plug REI now. Is that what's happening here?
If you're a member at REI and it costs you $20 for a lifetime, you will get sent free money when you spend money there. And it's like having a birthday present on a day that's not your birthday.
That's a great plug. Okay. And that's it. That's a wrap. We just recorded.
Okay, thanks very much. I'm off to REI.
Yeah, you recorded a commercial. Great. No. I wanted to bring you on because in the car this morning when we were driving for breakfast, I mentioned one of the questions that was submitted for the anonymous form.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even actually express my opinion, but you you got fired up and started expressing your opinion about this question or your thoughts. And so then that kind of...
I have to correct you there. You did express your opinion because your opinion was the question. Well, what's the question?
Okay. Let's start with the question and then you can explain your side.
Just my answer.
Just your answer. Okay. Is it okay to nap instead of participating in group activities at your partner's family holiday gathering?
Now, you gave your opinion straight away. You said, of course, it's 100% okay.
All right, you're right. I did give my opinion.
At which point I guess I have my opinions, but I reacted. And my reaction was, it definitely depends on the circumstances.
Well, you shut it down pretty quickly.
Shut it down. But my answer is no.
It is not, of course.
It's not okay in most circumstances. But the nuances are, if it's just the day, if you're going there for the day and you're celebrating whatever holiday you're celebrating, you don't really get to take a nap. You're there for the meal, you're there to spend time with your partner's family, and dipping out and taking a nap, I would consider to be rude. I would consider that to be bad manners.
So much so that you said you'd break up with me.
I said
I took a nap.
I would walk out and the relationship would be over, or I'd never invite you back for Christmas or
any holiday,
and we would break up. That's the extreme version. But if it's a multi-day stay and there's nap time happening as part of that day, then that's fine. If everyone else is napping, if it's a one-day thing and everyone else is taking like an hour to go and kind of do their thing, have a nap, have a lie down, if that's on the agenda, as it were, then yeah, totally fine. If you're getting up from the table and excusing yourself from the activities, then I would say just have a cup of coffee. You got to suck it up and keep going, and you can nap in the car on the way home.
Okay. No, and those are very valid opinions.
Well, they're my answers. They are opinions.
They are opinions, and they are your answers. And it did change my perspective talking it through with you about the different nuances, the different circumstances that would allow for nap times versus non-nap times. So It depends on the circumstance. I also then thought about, like, after you went for your hike and I was recording here, I was thinking about, like, to that point of, if you came home with me and like it was a multi-day and like there's a bedroom where like guests, I think it also depends on who is hosting. Like if you're going to someone's aunt's house and everyone's a guest, that's a little weird to be like, I'm going to pass on family bingo or whatever activity is happening over here and just go take a nap in the guest room when you're not actually a guest in the home staying. So yeah.
You're a guest of a guest to a certain degree.
You are a guest of a guest.
If you're a guest twice removed, you definitely don't get to take a nap. There's no nap.
Unless everyone's like, it's now nap time. That is the activity, like you mentioned.
Unless it's like kindergarten and we're all getting some food.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's nap time. We're all laying out the foam mattresses and we're lying down and closing our eyes. As a family.
I'm going to tell you to rein it in there because napping is not just exclusive to children.
No, I agree. I'm I'm a proponent of the nap. I love a nap.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes a nap in the wrong situation could be perceived as being rude.
Yeah.
And I'll break up with you.
Okay. So I think that wraps it up. It's the nap has to be considered in the entire agenda. Who's hosting? There's considerations to make. Who's hosting this? If you're going to like a great aunt's house, I think to your point of like, if it's a 45-minute drive to New Jersey versus like hours-long drive and you're staying overnight.
There's no hard and fast rules,
right?
When it comes to
anything,
questions like these,
anything.
Ethics, manners, what have you. They're dependent on situations, people, things, what I consider to be rude.
Right. And
you might consider to be rude.
Well, it's important to communicate that with your partner. Like
by breaking up with them.
No. By talking about it beforehand.
Absolutely.
Making these considerations.
Yeah.
I've taken naps at holiday things. I've also not felt well.
That's different.
Okay. So not feeling well and being like, I need a rest.
Yeah, when you're not feeling well, that sort of supersedes all the rules.
Well, what happens if you don't, like, not having a nap makes you feel unwell? No.
That's not unwell. That's just...
That's just wanting a nap.
Unwell is feeling like sick. Yeah, I feel nauseous. I feel unwell. I'm having a reaction to your auntie's food.
I'm having a headache.
All of those sort of like, bodily things, they're unwell. Just the fact that I feel out of sorts because I didn't have a nap, that's not a good enough excuse.
Mm-hmm. The other question is my question, so it's not anonymous.
I'm not prepared for this question.
Yeah, okay, we didn't talk about this one. This is like a wild card question.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
What is your advice? And I mentioned this earlier in the recording that this is the first time I'm going to be away from my family. And I also mentioned earlier in the recording that we're 9 days into this road trip across the country and I had a little homesickness. So what is your advice? Because you are someone who left your homeland at a very young age. What is your advice for people who are maybe like myself experiencing the holidays outside of what is normally their tradition, away from their families?
Mm.
And then it's a 2-part question. So I have another thing to add to that. But what is your advice for someone celebrating or experiencing the holidays away from home? And especially for you, it was like foreign, like Christmas was completely different for you.
Not so different. I mean, not culturally that different.
No, but a summer Christmas is very different from a winter Christmas, no?
Yeah. All right. So the first part of the question is advice for someone celebrating.
Advice for someone like myself who is experiencing the holidays away from their family for the first time and feeling like I feel homesick. I feel a little sad.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I would say it's perfectly understandable and okay to feel sad and homesick and all that. That's not something that's wrong. Especially, I was quite young when I left home, and have spent many, many, many a Christmas away from my family, even when I was in Australia. But it's perfectly natural to feel sad and what have you. So that's the first part. It's okay. It's normal. Just feel it and let it be. And I would say try and create, either something new for yourself. So if you are not around anyone that you know or love, then, if you are alone, then go and do something that's like go for a hike or get out in nature or like do something that's completely a way for you to just celebrate by yourself, if you are by yourself. Or just create, the other way is to kind of create like a whole new tradition or a whole new Christmas, celebrate with friends, like be the host, have people over wherever you are. We're going to be in LA. And I recommended that we sort of invite a few people over and have like a little Christmas celebration. And then, you sort of have like, you have people, you have friends, you cook, you kind of, you get to create your own little Christmas, which I think is cool. It's fun. It doesn't have to be like any Christmas that you've experienced. You don't have to all dress in matching onesies and eat a certain food or any of that. You know what I mean? Like Christmas with the family is great, but it can also be like, I've done the same thing for the last 20 years with Christmas with the family. So this is an opportunity to just like be creative and do something different and new and fun with your friends and the people you love. And the second part of the question was?
I didn't ask it yet, but you kind of started answering it. But how can we create our own holiday traditions as a couple?
Honestly, I feel like the best traditions are pretty organic. And I also think that the best memories that a couple create are pretty organic. I feel like when you get into this sort of like planning something that has to be special mode, then I don't know, friction can arise. It just loses some kind of magic, for all intents and purposes, for kids, for adults alike. I think Christmas can be magic. And I think just sort of having the other person in mind, and just communicating about something you'd like to do on that day. Maybe one person wants to do one thing and another person wants to do another. Maybe you do both of those things, you know what I mean? But sort of I would let it grow organically just through communicating and talking about it and or just let it be whatever it's going to be. We're going to invite some friends over and we're going to cook some food and we're going to see what happens, or we're going to go to the beach, or we're going to do this or that. You know what I mean? Like, let it be a little bit loose. I don't know. That's how I like to treat things. I think as soon as you get into like, just maybe using weddings as an example, I've never been married, but like that whole kind of super planning bridezilla, everything has to be this way, or it's just a complete failure is how things start getting like a little stressful, I guess. Christmas can be stressful, and whether you're away from home, whether you're dealing with loss, like we're always dealing with all sorts of things, and I think that those things are exacerbated during the holidays. I don't know if I just answered your question.
You did.
But just being mindful, let it be organic, have fun. The holidays can be something fun that you just build together, and traditions happen over a course of however many years. You know what I mean? Traditions are built, they're not sort of created.
Yeah.
I think that's what a tradition is. It's something that just repeatedly happens.
Right.
Maybe no one planned on Christmas bingo, but someone bought the bingo cards one year, and now for 20 years we've been playing Christmas bingo.
Mm-hmm.
So I just brought that around.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. But I think that's important to consider. Like, I like the idea of if you're in a partnership, both people bringing things to the table. And sometimes those things stick and you do them again. You're like, hey, that was great. Let's do that again. And some of those things don't. And what sticks around becomes a tradition, but it shouldn't be a pressured. Like, I agree with you that sometimes when it comes to planning or making something happen, and especially in this question and scenarios, like I am removed from what is normally my traditions and my family experience. And so we don't need to put a pressure on like replacing that with a different experience that then doesn't feel right, or doesn't, like putting that type of pressure on ourselves when those moments are meant to be special. And it's like the quality of the experience and how you feel in it. And you mentioned this, and it's very important to recognize that in this time of year, there is always this, I get this feeling of a melancholy, a sadness. And although I've been very lucky and have had the privilege of being around my family and having like, people have described my family's Christmas as like, wow, your family is family. Like, it's a big family. My mom loves Christmas. It's very holiday, and it can still feel sad and lonely and there's a sadness in it. There's the celebration, and then there's also the come down. And that's okay too. And holding space for that. And I appreciate that you let me cry when I feel homesick, or let me express that and not feel the need to make it better immediately, or, put a pressure on like, well, this is now our thing, or whatever it is. Feels safe and feels good to have that, to be able to be sad and happy and excited. Like, I'm excited to have a California Christmas with you. And I'm also sad to not be with my family. And both of those experiences are real and okay.
Yeah, and can exist.
Can exist, yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's the holiday episode.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you for joining me.
It It was my pleasure.
Was it? Was it really?
Yeah, sure.
All right. And that's a wrap.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks. Special thanks to all of our guests. Head South is hosted by Cat Meyer, produced by Isis Barlow, edited by Megan Hook, with music by Lily Rezi Rothman, graphics by Ella Chodos Irvine, cover art by Gina Ship Casey, and intro by Murph Meyer.
If you're looking for me, I'm headed